Hey everybody! Today we decided to cook a giant Skittle. Let's open the packet and see what it's made of. Inside there are a bunch of small candies. If we crush them, it becomes clear that there is a candy coating around a soft, chewy inside. Now let's buy everything we need to cook a giant Skittles. First up, you'll need a lot of sugar, a box of oil. We go to the produce section, and we take out quite a lot of lemons. We choose the largest and ripest watermelons and put them in the cart. We'll need a total of 7 watermelons. We pull up to the checkout with 2 carts full. We unload them. Our check came out to $162. In addition to this, we bought another 30 kilograms of glucose syrup. To make it easier to work with, we'll pour it into a large saucepan. I ordered something special for this video. These are semicircles made out of acrylic. They will serve as our huge Skittles mold. We fill the mold with oil and smear it around with a brush. Let's unroll the parchment paper. We make pretty deep cuts along the edges and carefully put it inside the mold. Thanks to the oil, the parchment sticks well to the mold. That way we cover up all the inside of the semicircle. Done! It turned out great. Now we put the saucepan on the scales. We put 150 grams of glucose syrup into it. And pour 350 grams of sugar into that. Now we pour in 100 milliliters of water. We put all this on the stove and cook the syrup. Be sure to use a thermometer. We need to wait until the temperature reaches 147 degrees Celsius. Done. Now let's squeeze a little purple food dye into a teaspoon and mix it into our candy coating. The acrylic molds don't really like changes in temperature, so to heat them up, we'll turn on really hot water and fill a bath. We lower the mold into the water, and only now do we pour in the candy coating. Yes, we'll be filling the mold for a long time, so we decided to make a double portion. So we'll be doing 2 equal saucepans at once. Put it on the stove. We cook up the mixture and add in the food coloring. Let's send the second mold into the bath. Pour the coating along the walls. Well, we cooked and molded the coating for 7 hours. At some point, it began to set crookedly. I had to gradually cover everything up. We returned the molds to the studio. We've already made the outer layer for the candy. Now all we need to do is make the insides. There are many different Skittles flavors. We decided to come up with our own, watermelon. To help out with this, we have a hefty mechanical press. We transfer the watermelons to the sink and wash them thoroughly. We put the clean watermelons in a huge bowl. We install a trough under the press and put a metal barrel on top. We take a watermelon, cut off the end, and then do the same to the other side. We prop it up vertically and remove the entirety of the green peel. Now all we have is the pulp. We throw it into the barrel. Cover the top of the metal disc. Take another watermelon and clean it the same way. We send this to the barrel too, and cover it as well. In advance, we substitute a 20-liter empty cylinder at the bottom and put a funnel into it. We begin to turn the screw. We make sure that it enters the groove of the metal disc. The juice is squeezed out very evenly. It goes into the trough and drains down into the container. We twist the press with all our might. 2 watermelons didn't give us enough juice, so we decided to peel 3 watermelons at once and cut each of them into pieces. We load them into the barrel and covering them with metal discs. Squeeze out the juice. We clean another watermelon. Squeeze the juice out of it too. Now we have almost a full container. But I want my Skittles to be sour. Let's squeeze the juice out of the lemons as well. First, we roll them with our hands on the table to loosen up the insides. Then, we cut and squeeze the juice using our hands. All the juice will be sent through a sieve into the container. By the time we get to the studio, the juice has separated, and the red part was at the bottom. We decided to try it, and the taste hasn't really changed at all. I mean, real watermelon juice can be transparent. We shake the container well, and the color comes back. For the inside of the candy, we need 4 pots. We pour 150 milliliters of watermelon juice into each of them. Then 200 grams of glucose syrup, and 300 grams of sugar into each. We put all of this onto the stove. Be sure to put a thermometer in one of the pots. The candy is boiling and you can't touch it at all. Just wait until it reaches 123 degrees. Open the butter. We cut it into small pieces. And one by one, send it into the pots, along with a teaspoon of white dye. Now we mix it up. The candy is ready. Just have to pour it into the molds. Oh, you have no idea how long we've been cooking all this. A day and a half. Finally, the molds are completely filled. Only a day later, the caramel completely cools down and becomes the desired soft consistency. Using a knife, we chip off the uneven edges of the candy. One half is covered with parchment. We put a board on top and turn it over. We remove the mold. Tear off the parchment. And turn over a candy half. The same should be done with the second one. Now, the most dangerous thing is to attach the 2 halves to each other. Then the worst thing imaginable happened. One half slipped and we heard a crunch, which really scared us. We were trying to connect the 2 halves. So we tear off the parchment and see the candy coating has split. We were really upset. Well, what can you do? We tried to at least save the filling. We transfer it into the mold. We'll have to redo the candy coating, but this time we'll do it differently. Again, we cover the mold with parchment. In the middle, we put a ring pasted with parchment. With the help of a hairdryer, we thoroughly warm up the mold. We cook the purple coating again, but something really scary happened here. At some point, the hot candy exploded with such a force that it knocked off the grate, splattered the ceiling, half of the studio, and got on my face. With serious burns and eye injuries, I was taken to the hospital by ambulance. If you want to see how my face looks now, then follow the link in the description to my Instagram. I should say right away, this isn't for the faint of heart. While I'm recovering, my dad will finish the Skittle. He pours the purple candy down the walls of the mold. He files the uneven edges. And turns it over to empty the mold. Then he tears off the parchment and takes out the ring in the middle. The edges of the lower half are now coated with the hot candy mixture. Now we connect the two halves very carefully and gently. Once again, we go around, connecting them at the crease. We take all the filling we managed to save. Using a knife, we cut off pieces from it. We fill our Skittle to the brim. And close it off from above. The joint is filled with the mixture. We just cut off the excess with a knife. Using a burner, we warm up our Skittle from the outside to melt small chips and sugary crumbs. On a piece of parchment, we draw the S logo. Now we melt white chocolate in a steam bath and fill it into a regular syringe. With its help, we first draw the outline of the letter, then fill in the inside. We wait for the chocolate to harden and transfer it to the candy. That's it! Our giant Skittle is finally ready. We spent a lot of money, time, and most of all, health on this experiment. If my dad hadn't helped me, we probably would have never finished this video. Our Skittle weighs in at 78 kilograms. Let's smash it. We'll try both parts at once, the candy coating and the filling. Hey everybody, today we received a long-awaited package, straight from Kamchatka. We open it. Inside we see bottles of ice and Kamchatka crab. It was difficult to get it because we got it whole. It weighs about 4 kilograms. Let's open her up. When folded up, it's not that big. If you straighten his little legs, you can immediately see that this is a monster that was taken from the bottom of the ocean. There are many types of crabs, but there's usually not much to eat in them, And there's a lot of meat in this one. Therefore, it is considered the most expensive in the world. Our crab costs $220. It's already boiled. We need to get the meat out of it. We tear off the shell. We tear off the gills. And begin to unscrew the legs. We do this carefully because the spikes are pretty sharp. We pull out the remaining pieces of meat from the shell, and we get a whole mountain of crab legs. They need to be broken at the joints. This should be done with each of its legs. Now we take one leg, cut it lengthwise with scissors, and take out a nice, whole, real crab stick. We throw the meat into the bowl. After about 20 minutes, we got all the meat from the crab. Now, there are $220 in this bowl. In this form, we can finally eat the crab. It tastes kind of like crawfish, only twice as saturated, and the meat is juicier. Let's cook 3 completely different crab dishes. First up, crab's benedict. We'll need pieces of crab, broken into fibers, all transferred into a bowl. We take a small green onion, cut it into circles, and put it with the crab. Put a grater on top and zest a lemon into this. Cut the lemon in half and squeeze out some juice. Olive oil and chili pepper, a little salt. Now mix it up, and our filling is ready. We put a saucepan with water on the stove. Let's salt the water, pour in 2 tablespoons of vinegar, break the egg into a cup. When the water starts to boil, we quickly stir it in a circle with a whisk to make a whirlpool. In the middle, in one movement, pour in the egg. Cook that for 20 seconds. We take this out with a slotted spoon and put it onto a paper towel. Now we're going to need 2 of those poached eggs. Now let's make a hollandaise sauce. To do this, we separate the egg yolk from the egg whites. We only need the yolk, or rather 4 yolks. We put them onto a steam bath and mix quickly. After 15 seconds, we remove it. Pour in a little vinegar and oil in a thin stream and mix. Gradually, this mass thickens. It remains to add salt and pour it into a saucepan. We put the grill pan back on the stove and fry 2 of these buns on both sides until crisp. We put the buns on a plate, put the crab meat with dressing on top of them, level it, then our poached eggs. Now pour hollandaise sauce on top. And finally, you need to sprinkle all this with paprika. Our crab benedict is ready. We cut into the egg, and the yolk breaks as needed. Let's try it. It's fucking delicious. Crispy toast, runny yolk, hollandaise sauce, and crab. A real royal breakfast. Next up, tom yum. All right, the ingredients we need are crab, scallops, and shrimp. Coconut milk, tom yum paste, fish bouillon granules, fish sauce, oyster sauce, and cherry tomatoes. We open the bonito kanzashi, pour the granules into the pan. Pour in 2 liters of boiling water and mix that so that the granules dissolve. This will give us a nice fish broth. Turn on the stove, bring the broth to a boil, and open the coconut milk. Although it looks more like a paste, we put all this into the pot and to mix it up. Now our soup has turned white, so add fish sauce, a tablespoon of oyster sauce, and most importantly, tom yum paste. This contains all the Thai spices we need. We throw in a couple of spoons to the soup. Mix it up. Now for the seafood. Scallops, peeled shrimp, and Kamchatka crab. Cut the cherry tomatoes in half and drop those into the soup. We'll mix this for the last time and the crab tom yum is ready. We collect it into a ladle and fill our bowl up. Finally chop the greens and sprinkle them on top. Let's taste test it. Ooh, this is one of the most intense soups I've ever eaten. Such a powerful, spicy soup with lots of seafood. For the third course, whole crab legs are needed. We cut these into pieces, which will be convenient to eat. Throw those into a bowl and top those with a couple of tablespoons of plain flour. Cover this with a flat plate and shake well. Open it up. All the pieces should be evenly covered with flour. Now let's put a frying pan on to heat. Pour in quite a lot of oil and put in our pieces to fry. Fry them on both sides to form a crispy crust. Remove the pan from the stove and drop the pieces into a deep bowl. Now let's open the oyster sauce. We'll pour that on top, cover with a plate, and shake again. That's it, done. You can serve the crab pieces on a plate. This is a super sweet and sour crab. You can sprinkle it with green onions. And now, it's definitely ready. Let's taste it. This is a very elite snack, and it clearly tastes like it. Inside, we have juicy crab, a crust of flour, and a thin layer of oyster glaze on it. In general, I'm pretty delighted with this crab cake. Of all of the sea creatures like him that I've tried, whether it's lobster or shrimp or crayfish, Kamchatka crab is definitely the most delicious. Alright guys, if you want me to cook some unusual inhabitant of the ocean, then like this video, and as soon as we get 300,000 likes, we'll do just that. And if we get 500,000 likes, then we'll have a very large ocean dweller. Everything is in your hands. Write us in the comments, what do you think I'm planning to cook? See you guys soon.